Hello, it's time to talk about cross-stitching with me. I'm Karen and I am the Stitching Owl here on Flosstube and on Instagram. It is the last day of August. In this family, we always judge our summer by the special days that occur. At the beginning of summer, we start with my birthday. In the very middle of summer, my husband and I have our anniversary. And at the end of summer, it is his birthday. His birthday is now done, and tomorrow will be September. Wow. There's only 4 months left in 2025, and people are already planning 2026, and I'm guilty of doing this too. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you for pressing play. I really appreciate it. I know that you're all busy and that you've got many, many floss tubers to choose from. I want to thank those of you who have subscribed, and if you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you'd consider it, if you're comfortable. So I usually start by talking about the weather because in 2025, I am doing my very first temperature stitch. And of course, I am doing a Stitching Mommy pattern that this one is all the specialty stitches, and I'm finding that particularly fun. So let's see what my stitch looks like now. So here we are. I am caught up, and it includes today. I looked at my phone to see what the prediction was for the temperature in 2 hours, and I just put it in. So if I just fold this up a bit, this is August. So you can see that we had hot, humid days, walk outside a wall of, it felt like you were in the middle of a cloud, to be honest, because it was so humid. And then we had a front come through and release the heat and the humidity. And you can see that while there was a couple of days that were a bit warmer, we are now, the last week we were at 16 degrees to 20 degrees Celsius at 12 noon. So this particular stitch is a diamond stitch with a French knot in the center. Now, I don't know whether I can actually, oh, there you go. Now you can see my French knots in the center. I am using sulky 12-weight thread, and I'm finding it really easy to do the French knots in the 12-weight thread, one strand. It just slides off the needle and it never pulls through. I am on a 32 count Lugana. This is actually vintage country mocha using the unprinted side. Yeah, that's my back. So it just gave me a neutral so that hopefully none of the different colors that I'm using blend completely into the background. And I have chosen my own scale with one color of sulky thread per degree. So up to 31 degrees in heat and down to 26, 28 below, might even be 30 below. I haven't thought about the belows for the last little while. So I am caught up, and I did look at the recent video of Sarah. So the Stitching Mommy is really kind that each month she posts a video showing how she personally does the stitch for that month. And she is typically showing us once on an even weave and once on Aida so that all of us are comfortable with what's coming up. Sarah is a very generous person to do that for us. But I am pleased and amazed that I'm staying caught up. So I just want to take a moment to talk about my Send a Smile program. At this point, it was Send a Smile to me, and a subscriber, lovely Linda, sent me a beautiful card with a very lovely personal note on the inside. And she had listened to my question, did anybody have a couple of the cottage garden patterns for a year in the woods? So she sent me the ferret, oops, let's watch for the glare, and the beaver. I've watched Sheila of Mrs. Stitches stitch the beaver, and I really wanted to do it, but I couldn't get my hands on this pattern. So I was just expecting those two things, but she also included this other cottage garden. So this is February's Promise. So we've been watching Laura of Stitching by the Shore do each of these particular stitches by Cottage Garden Sampling. And I'm actually delighted to have this one. It's right up my alley, so I will definitely stitch this. And she also included one more thing. I got a Prairie Schooler Santa, and it's got an owl. So the fact that it has all these animals, I know that Linda knew how much I love stitching animals, but the owl sitting right there. And this is a nice firm cardstock. This says it is the 2021 Santa. So Linda, I want to just say, wow, thank you. That was a lovely, lovely day to have that package arrive. Now, I'm also going to just put in a picture of a recent finish that Linda sent me a photo of. It is ABC de Maison. Maison is house. And I'm just going to show it right here. And it's an astonishing finish. I just think it's absolutely incredible, Linda. And she is gifting this to one of her friends who is a teacher who spent many a moment at school teaching the ABCs to her students. Now, this particular friend is very special to her because not only has her friendship been there for so many years, but her friend gave her her mother's cross-stitch stash when her mother was finished with it. So it just seemed like the perfect gift. Linda, wow. So I wanted to just say a thank you for sending me a smile, and in return I have sent you one. Let's see how long it takes to get across the border to you. I know that there's some concerns about sending things across the border. With fingers crossed, things that are sent as gifts should go without trouble. I will do a testing of this sometime in the next week and will let you know how it goes. I want to do a shout out. The first shout out today is Bethany Ruta. And I need my glasses for what I wrote on the back. I have her down as 5 videos. Is it only 5, Bethany? I feel like I've known you for so long that it should be like 15 or 20. She loves to stitch birds. She is a Mudpuppy model stitcher as well. She does frame her own pieces, which is fabulous. And I've got to say, oh my, she is a fast stitcher. Really fast. So we have been sort of going back and forth with something for September. So we have decided that we are going to do the Snow Queen by Pigeon Coop Design. It is in Cross Stitch the Forest, and have the hashtag Stitch and Owl Sal. We're also supporting Jen's Fiberweb, who is stitching owls as well for Owl Be Better. So we will remember that this is actually not my first go at Snow Queen. I tried it, and I actually brought it down. Sorry for the clump. I got this far on the Snow Queen the last time, and did not like how it looked on this fabric. Now, most of you were saying, it looks fine, Karen. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not sitting right here looking at white stitches that are lumpy. So I have to decide what count of fabric I'm going to do, because it's an option to use a 32 and use sulky because I only need to find 5 thread colors, or to go to 40 with a 1 strand and do it that way. So come back next time to find out what my decision is. So I hope that you will go over to Bethany's Flosstube and take a peek. I feel like if you like me, you're gonna like her. She stitches things that are similar to mine. Her videos are about what my length is right now with my videos, and she does go through quite a few whips in a short period of time, so I think you would like her. Now, I am at this moment going to pop in a video that I made yesterday. I have 2 FFOs that were made for Sarah the Rocking Chair Stitcher, and a very important finish. So here goes. Hello, and it is August the 30th. It's a Saturday, and it is my day to go into Stitch It Central. And because I'm going to be giving out a few things, I thought I would pop on for a mini video. It is a special day. I get to actually meet Sarah the Rocking Chair Stitcher in person. I have FFO'd her 2 designs. This is the first one. You can see I've got the ability to have it just sit on the table. So this is, I'm just going to put it off here for the picture. It is no small thing to celebrate a simple life. And the other FFO for her is Here Comes the Sun. So again, little stand-ups that are easy for everyone, light to carry, and the standing tool here can slip out for ease of storage. So those were 2 FFOs. Another FFO actually is to help a cross-stitcher, but is not cross-stitching. So let's see if I can do this right side up. Yeah. Okay, so this, I guess we go this way. This is a bobbin keeper. So some of my friends don't prefer floss drops, they prefer bobbins. But when you have a project bag and in the bottom of the bag is a whole bunch of loose bobbins, you have to spend time searching for the number that you want. Likewise, if you put it on a big binder ring, you have this clump that is in the bottom of your project bag, and it doesn't always work well. So with this, when I open it up, I've got a piece of felt here so that you can use it for stray threads, or needles. You can even put a needle minder on there. And then under here, on each side is vinyl, and each side has 12 spots for bobbins, so that you can actually put them in here in order, and it just makes it so much easier. And then it actually, yes, it plumps up a bit with your bobbins, but it does slide into your project bag and evenly distributes the bobbins across this, 12 inches. So that was my other FFO. I wanted to just briefly show you, this is one of those bobbin keepers in the making. So for people who do quilting and actually even stitchers, this is masking tape by Scotch, but it's got a ruler on it, so it's much easier if you put it down to actually place things, when you're working with vinyl, most places would say you need a special Teflon foot so that you do not stick to the vinyl. But vinyl actually comes with this, it's like a parchment paper so that it doesn't stick to itself. So what I do is when I'm cutting out my pieces, I cut out on top of the parchment paper and then I mark on it with pencil and sew straight through it. And now what I need to do is to use some tweezers to peel it off. But this is what it looks like. So this is what the back looks like. And in a perfect world, I'll have the purple one done for when I go to stitch it today. We will see. It is quite early in the morning. Now, the thing that I am so totally excited about and just could not risk not having it tomorrow to show. You know that I've been working on the Rainbow Dragon for the last 4 months in support of Andrew, the runner stitcher, who is marathon training now for the New York City Marathon. We are very, very proud of his work towards his long runs, and our heart is with him as he doesn't go to Australia this weekend, but we're going to support you for New York. I was able to finish the Rainbow Dragon. So this is Mini Rainbow Dragon 3 by Artecy. I'm doing it on 25 count Lugana. It's pewter in color, but you won't be able to see it because this is full coverage. And it is 1/1 full cross. And this is the dragon fully finished. So I'm going to be giving this to lovely Linda today. Well, it's the Labor Day weekend, so I'm hoping she's there. Is the dimension not absolutely amazing the way those colors go? Now there is a lot of colors, and you're going to want to do the colors exactly as they are. Now this is an AI pattern, but the AI pattern was created by the artist who made the original dragon, so I have no hesitation in using it. But yes, AI patterns do have a lot of confetti stitches. I can see that some people would be doing this with the diagonal and parking method. I don't tend to park. I just thread through, and my back is actually fairly thick, even with only one strand. I am pleased. I'm just going to hold it up really close. Look at those eyes. This is DMC. I did not need silk to get this fantastic finish. So, thank you for your encouragement of me throughout these past months. Andrew himself has really been super supportive of letting me know how impressed he was with the progress that was being made, and I really appreciate that, Andrew. So that's it for my Saturday video. I am so excited. I did give Rainbow Dragon to my lovely in-person Linda yesterday, who gave me the most beautiful card. Within 20 minutes, she was out. She comes to stitch with us at the shop, even though she can't stitch right now because she's recovering from a shoulder operation. So our stitch shop not only does cross stitch, it does do yarns, it does do quilting, it does do framing, and it sells sewing machines. It's a large shop. So within 20 minutes, she was out giving the owner this piece so that the arrangements for the frame could be made, which meant that if you weren't there in those first about 15 minutes for the stitch in, you didn't get to see it in person. But I know that when it is framed, she's going to bring it out. Now, I am going to go into finishes now. and start with a couple by my daughter. So my daughter is a Halloween fanatic. On Halloween of this year, she will be dressed as Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. And yes, she will go to university as she will tutor essay writing dressed in full garb. She makes the most beautiful butterflies and fairies because she's got beautiful wings that fit her. And so what I did was I gave her this year's Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazine, and this one is part of it. And I also gave her last year's Halloween magazine, and this is part of it. And I'm sorry, I do not have the designers' names, but those books, magazines, are easy to grab at your needlework shop. And indeed, the latest Halloween special is on our apps. I get all of the magazines from the library on Press Reader. I had to stop and go, which one is it? And many of you use Libby. So I encourage you to have a look at that. So those two were finishes by my daughter. Now, I also finished, just trying to keep myself sorted out. I have been doing Trick or Treat, and I'm doing this stitch with Katie. It just happens that right at the moment, Katie's in a very, very busy period. And so I know that she'll be starting it soon. It just hasn't happened yet. So Trick or Treat by Cottage Garden Sampling. And I got my first ornament finish. I think he's adorable. I'm on 20 count Ada. This is Fiber on a Whim, and it is called Hazelwood. I do like Fiber on a Whim 20 count Ada because it's this magic perfection of a softness yet fullness. It's not thin. It's easy to get good coverage. I'm just going to put it in a little further. Great coverage with one strand. And with this one, I'm using my stash of threads that are leftover anchors and Lily brand, and sometimes not even branded, that I have 2 bags of this from friends at Stitch It Central. So that's one of my finishes, and I will next do the pumpkin with the cat. I just am in the process of putting it into my PC Stitch so that I can stitch it off of my tablet. And each of these ornaments is 60 by 60. You can either do them round, as that one's going to be done round. At some point I will put in what looks like a little bit of spider webbing around it and make it a square. So let's see what I do with the next one. Another finish is, oh my goodness, yeah. So this particular period of time, I found myself quite busy. I was trying very hard to get model stitching and model quilting done, and I found that I didn't have as much time for my personal stitching, which is fine because I love doing the model stitching. And I did put a push on the Rainbow Dragon. So what I did was I would look through what I had, pick one of the things that had the fewest amount of stitches left and try to finish it. So I have been doing for my WhipGo, Owl Forest Embroidery was a pull for August, and so I did, out of their Christmas tree decorations, Christmas Owl. Isn't this so cute? So I'm doing this on a 32 count Lagana with a single strand of sulky thread, So it's 1/2. The pattern is 34 by 54 and only uses 5 colors. So I'm trying to stitch 25 ornaments in 2025 with Amy of Renewing Stitches and Sarah, the Rocking Chair Stitcher. So it's my hopes that I'll actually FFO these. I'm not that far with the FFOing of these. What else did I get finished? Well, my Nativity Tiny Town is now finished also. So I started this, well, I started it with Somi Sarah, except that I was a little bit behind on my start, and she loved doing it so much she was finished before I started, but that's okay because I still felt her encouragement with me, and I know that she felt me with her. So again, this is a 32 count. It's an even weave, and it is called Turbulence. I always forget what this one is called. And I am again using 1 strand of sulky because that's what I do on 32 count. Now this is one option for the fabric because I haven't cut this yet. I have all of this left. I could do the Snow Queen on this. So when I said I might consider you doing a Snow Queen in sulky thread, it would, if that's what I choose to do, this one will be my background fabric. If I choose 20 count, I will use charcoal Aida. So I have to admit, this was so much fun that I'm either going to immediately turn around and make a small, sort of out of this center portion, or find one of the 5 tiny towns that I haven't started yet, because I do buy these as we go, and I know there's a quilt town that has not arrived at my LNS yet, but for sure I'm going to do that one. So Nativity Tiny Town had 15 colors, and it is 176 by 30 and was part of the hashtag Nativity Sal. It has a total of 3,267 stitches, but because it's block stitching, it goes quite quickly. Now that was not the only finish that I had. I had one more that I consider a big finish. I'm going to remind you of a model stitch that I've done for Kenzie, Gold Among the Flowers, referring to the goldfinches. This is on a 40 count Verdal by Roxy Flossco. The other thing I was trying to do in the last 2 weeks was finish Strawberries and Swallowtail Kites. I'm just going to bring it up closer. Isn't that gorgeous? This was incredible fun. Absolutely incredible fun. So this is a 36 count even weave, hand dyed by Rolanda, and it's called Medina. I got all of my buzzy bees in, my ants, an extra frog at the top, and I was thrilled. My border met up. I didn't have to frog. Yay. So sometime in the next week, I will be popping this to Kenzie through UPS. And it is our hope that because I'm gifting this to her, that there will be no Terra for duty when she answers her door. So I will send those 2 in the same package. I'll have to find the right box. Yeah. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. So now this is the moment where I say I will be referring to many of the friends that I stitch with often. and that all of these people have excellent floss tubes that I would love for you to have a peek at if you don't already. Contented Needleworker Kim. These are in alphabetical order because I didn't want to do it any other way. Forest City Stitching, Lisa. Jeremiah's Mom, Katie. Mary's Stitching Corner. Mrs. AZ Family Zoo, Allison. Mudpuppy Stitchery, Kenzie. Yes, the same one we were just talking about. Renewing Stitches, Amy, who has been trying to get her eldest child settled for an exciting new year, his first year away from home. I hope it went well, Amy. Stick Strings and Other Things, Lee. We've been following Lee because she had a bit of a health challenge with a recurrence of cancer, and that cancer is now not in her. We are so pleased for her. So, yay. We want you to stay that way, Lee. You often hear me talking about Stitching by the Shore, Laura. Stitching with Charlie, who comes to us from across the pond and is a delightful young lady. The Rocking Chair Stitcher, Sarah, who you just saw me do 2 models for. Everyone knows the Runner Stitcher, Andrew. My friend in London, the Twitchy Stitcher, who's also named Karen. Uplift Stitches, Melanie and Michael. Now, Melanie, you recently sent me an email asking about, do I know any cottons that are thinner than DMC? I went through mine, and in my stash of many cottons, the answer was no. So yesterday at Stitch It Central, I asked whether there was any cotton that the owner knew was slimmer, and she said, no, not really. So I think you've got a couple of options. One, ask Contented Needleworker Kim which silk is typically used by stitchers who are doing 56 count, because I know there's one that is slimmer for that. And the other thing that I personally do, at my LNS, you can buy crochet cotton. And yes, there's 12-weight crochet cotton that is just the same feel to my hands as my sulky. But there's also 20-weight and 30-weight. The higher the number, the skinnier the thread. And so when I'm needing something skinnier, I use a 30-weight cotton, that is crochet cotton, or in some cases I actually go to 40-weight sewing thread that is used for quilting. So Melanie, that is my answer for what I would do when I'm seeking out a skinnier cotton. If you want to stay cotton, I go to crochet cotton, and if you don't mind going to silk, ask Kim. I think she knows or would be able to tell you who to contact for the right name of silk that is super thin. Okay, my next shout out is for the Golden Pineapple Stitcher, Leslie. She has one video that I just saw last night. She's from Utah, so there you go, Mary. Somebody else is in Utah with you. She's been stitching since the age of 12 and is absolutely thrilled to discover Flosstube because she now feels at home. For the longest time, she thought she was the odd person out because she couldn't just stick with one project from beginning to end without sidestepping to 1, 2, 3 or more projects. Indeed, she has over 100 whips. I found her delightful to listen to. Okay, now that brings us to whips. One of the things that hasn't happened for the last couple of videos, and just might make this one back to my hour in length, is that I hadn't been doing the games because I kept forgetting to bring them down. So I did type them up, and I'm just going to pop on my glasses for a minute because it makes it a lot smoother. So for my magazine monthly cross stitch challenge, the theme was Laundry Day. And yes, this is a Karen moment. When I go to the beach or anywhere near the water and am in either a cottage or a cabin, we always have a clothesline out back for putting our beach towels and bathing suits out to dry by the sun. So I am saying that by the shore, which is Stitches So Beautiful, qualifies for Laundry Day because behind those cabins there will be a clothesline. The word for the acrostic was linen, so I used the word land, and we will be seeing that in a new, and I forgot to bring it down. So I started just this weekend Bliss, which is by Twin Peaks Primitives, which was my second pull for WhipGo. And it has the September, it's a series that has one for each month. And September is the picture of some horses and a tractor at a farm. And the farmer in the tractor is working the land, so L for land. The I is for indigo because the flowers at the bottom of By the Shore are purple and blue, which is indigo. N is my Noel sampler by Satsuma Street. E is for Etsy, which is my Snack-O-Lantern by Boomerang Stitches that was purchased on Etsy. And N is for Nativity Tiny Town by Heart and Hand. For the I Spy Challenge by Laura, Something at the Beach, I used Here Comes the Sun by Rocking Chair Stitcher because we go to the beach when it's sunny. Hardest project. Now I had to sit back and go, what would I do? What would I say here? And I actually said it's the Temperature Stitch by Stitching Mommy, not because I find the specialty stitches hard. It's because I actually have 61 individual colors of silky thread tied up, put in order so that I can stitch that easily. And I don't want to borrow from it and lose those colors and mess up my overall stitching of that chart. So it is really difficult to not have a complete set of silky colors to use when I am doing things like my tiny towns. So it's a hard project because of that. Letter G, the green in the trees of By the Shore. Something that stings. Well, in my Durene Jones butterfly, there is lots of flowers, and those flowers need bees to pollinate. So I'm using my Durene Jones Butterfly and Flowers Purple Emperor. Project of choice was finishing my mini Rainbow Dragon number 3 by Artecy. Something in the title of a book, I used my Mother Goose book and Strawberry Goose Witch. Something in Time Out, I'm actually going to show you that. I'm stretching a point. I was cleaning the other day because I am trying to just get things a little bit more organized, and I feel like I make it worse before I make it better. And I finally found I had lost the Aviary by Jan Hicks. So this was in a timeout because I had lost it, and I will start putting stitches in today before the month is out so that this counts for something in timeout. Multiple layers, I'm saying the Graveyard Biscornu by KEB Stitchery because, well, there's layers of ground above a coffin. And opposite to the season now, I said the opposite of summer is winter. And for me, the beginning of winter is Christmas, and therefore my Christmas owl counts for that, as well as my Noel sampler by Satsuma Street. And my last game is an Aussie and a Kiwi go traveling. And we're using the word August. So A, an August start, was my Christmas owl. U, underground, is my coffins for the graveyard Biscornu. G is Gold Among the Flowers by Mudpuppy, and it's a finish. U, up in the sky are birds by the shore, Stitches So Beautiful. S, of course, is Strawberries and Swallowtail Kites by Mudpuppy, it's a finish. And T is my temperature chart by Stitching Mommy. Now, before I go on, this is my whip go. I'm still at 1 bingo only. This month, the polls were number 14, which for me as a prairie schooler, I get to start on that Santa Claus that lovely Linda just sent me. And number 18 is Cute Patterns by Maria. I have a series of ornaments by her that my daughter's already stitched, but I'm going to stitch them as well. So I am all set for this, and no, I don't get any new bingos. And Jessie Marie is absolutely astounded that number 13 has not been called yet. I think she said that this was the latest it's ever been in the year before that free space has been called. But because I'm trying to do 25 ornaments in 2025, mine's not a free space. It's got the 25th ornament. Okay, let's go to works in progress. And for the first time in a while, we have a couple of my projects with hanging threads. Lifed me, and sometimes I got interrupted and then just didn't quite get back to finish that thread. So, hang on, I've got the wrong one up. I'm going to just, because I just flashed it a bit, I'm going to go to my Strawberry Goose Witch, which is by Fine Frog Stitching. There are 22 DMC colors, 4,619 stitches. It is 74 by 106, and I am doing this on 25 count 1/1 to make it a bit smaller than it would be otherwise. I'm stitching this with Laura, Mary, and Karen for the I Never Thought I Stitch a Goose that Laura had created. And right now I'm at 1,525 stitches for 33%. So I have about another 500 stitches in since the last time I showed it to you. So a lot of it had to do with putting in this greenery here. That doesn't look like 500 stitches, but yes it is. Okay. Now, since we were last together, I wanted to keep up with my hashtag Gnome Along, which I'm doing with Katie and Laura. And the easiest thing that I have right now, every so often, I desperately want to stitch, but I need it to be something that's block stitching, straightforward, and not anything serious. And I do think that there's a number of floss tubers that need a couple of these as well. So I have a purchase from Etsy. It's a soda stitch pattern, which has about 40 different little gnomes in it. And so I started the Witch Gnome. It's on 20 count Aida parchment. So this is the guy you saw me do before, Watermelon in the Summer. This is the beginning of the Witch Gnome. He doesn't look like much yet, but you can see that the broom that he's going to fly on is there, and one foot, there's another foot in here, And up here is the rest of his face. I am using my floss that is a little bit of everything and mostly unnamed for these, because I think it's a great way to use perfectly good cotton floss that just might not be current in their dye lots or are unnamed, but there's enough to do this with. So that is the Witch Gnome for the Gnome Along. That one goes over here. I'm going to do another shout out for Shauna M at Stitching Shauna. To the best of my knowledge, she has one Flosstube. There might be more because I made up this card a little bit ago. Canadian Stitcher. She was so natural. Even in her first video, she had excellent flow and really super clear speaking. I didn't have to have my volume all the way up to understand every word. And of course, she has an excellent variety of works in progress, which are called whips. Wow. Okay, my next work in progress is the Noel sampler by Satsuma Street. This is on a 35 count Floba even weave. It has 22 DMC colors. Yes, Noel means Christmas, but Satsuma Street does their own thing and are distinctive in their color choices. So I started in July and I had those two finished already, and I have started on the star. Now I think in this fabric, yes, I'll be able to get one more ornament here, and then what I'll do is I'll cut off all 4 of those ornaments and then I'll fully finish those, but I'm not cutting them off until I have the whole row done. So for this one, the sampler actually has 3 by 3, so 9 boxes of Christmas elements. It's overall 158 by 158 with 14,070 stitches. And I, of course, am stitching this with Twitchy Stitcher, and Karen finished hers, so I hope you'll go over when she posts next, because you're going to see a lovely finish. At this point, I have stitched 2,081 stitches approximately, because I'm doing some of the rows a second time in order to have a box around these elements. That means I'm actually stitching more than is called for, because I'm stitching some of the stuff twice. But I am accordingly to this 14% done-ish. So I'm going to continue to do my stitching on my Satsuma Street. I'm really enjoying it and loving the colors. I am using the called for DMC because I want it to be distinctively Satsuma. And what comes up next? Where is it? Snack-o-lantern by Boomerang Stitches. I thought I'd be able to easily get this one done, catch up to Melanie, who's already finished it, but there are like 8,000 stitches. Let's see. Oh, I didn't write it down. Maybe it's not 8,000. There's quite a few stitches in here, and that center part is completely solid. So I'm hoping to be able to finish the bottom of the pumpkin and a few more candies underneath. So overall it's 76 by 66, and this is a pattern by Boomerang Stitches. There are 18 DMC colors, but I'm using my extra thread bag again. I'm stitching with Laura, Melanie, Helen D, and Stephanie of Cross Stitch the Globe. And this was started at the end of July, and I'm hoping to have it finished and fully finished for October. My next shout out is How She Stitches. Her name is Sharon. She has 2 videos. She has a lyrical and peaceful voice that feels like your best friend is chatting to you just when you're on a sleepless night and you just have somebody that you need to chat with. She is a multi-crafter and she does professional needle felting as well as cross stitch, and I've got to say, her needle felting creatures are just amazing. I've wanted to try that, but I'm a little intimidated, I have to be honest. Even with the marvelous videos on YouTube, I'm not sure I would get it right. Okay, my next one is The Year in the Woods. So it's cottage garden sampling, and in July with Lee, I started the Reindeer for Christmas in July. I'm using a 36 count even weave hand dyed by Rolanda. There are 11 DMC colors here, and it will ultimately be 100 by 130. Lee is ahead of me. I have started on the face. I'm hoping to get my last hooves in and the rest of the face and the antlers so that I at least have the animal done. And yes, I've got a couple of stitches missing from the tail because Lee was correct. I missed a couple of stitches when I put it into PC Stitch. It was his tail. So his tail is a little bit too small for right now. So I'm using 1 strand of called for DMC over 2 threads of the 36 count even weave. I am going to wait until I have stitched, I believe I've got 10 of them I want to stitch from year 1. And so far I have loved all of the patterns to year 2. So I'm going to wait till I've stitched all of them to do one fully finished item at the end. And because Rainbow Dragon is done, I am changing projects. Andrew the Runner Stitcher is continuing his training. He would have hoped to have run today, but has an imminent move and lots of packing to deal with. So he had to give up his trip to Australia, but we'll be running the New York Marathon in November. So we are continuing with the training schedule. So since I got my Rainbow Dragon done in the 4 months that I wanted to, I decided that I was going to pick up my Durene Jones Purple Emperor, which is Butterflies and Flowers. And here we are. So this is the other one that has a stray thread due to interruptions. So this does need to come down further. That's not going to angle in like that. But one of the things that I wanted to do, I'm going to be doing an online stitch session this afternoon, and I wanted it to be this butterfly to honor Andrew today. So I purposely went through and put in all of the black outline for the rest of the big butterfly. There's another little butterfly down here. You can actually see the shape there developing. This is a leaf over here, so that I can fill this in this afternoon. So I'm just going to hold it up close. Isn't it beautiful? Ultimately, this is going to be an arch shape. I'm doing this on a 20 count white Aida. I'm using 1 strand of called for DMC where there is 34 colors. It is 140 by 140. And today I have 12,654 stitches in for 64.56%. So I have almost 1,200 stitches in more than the last time you saw it. So this will be a daily stitch now, and I'm loving it. And as yet, I have not added another full coverage in. I want to get some of my quilting models finished before I add more projects. And as always, my last project is By the Shore, artwork by Kaplan Dorr. It's a Stitch is So Beautiful. Again, I'm on 20 count white Aida, but it is 440 by 375 with 100 DMC colors and a total of 164,994 stitches. Today, I am at 132,379. My goal was to get to 80% for today, and I did it. And I actually got over 12,000 stitches in this month, even though there was some nights I stitched on the Rainbow Dragon instead of By the Shore. Now, I have said that I'm not going to be showing you the whole thing anymore, but I don't like to fold my projects once I've started the stitching, so I left it flat until this point. So this is the up and down panel that I'm trying to work on. So there's a few more blue stitches in here. There's a little bit more flowers in here. Mostly, I was trying to make this cabin solid. And there's more stitches in that cabin than you would ever think. But I'm starting to get the peak of the roof and the other side here going, so I'm very, very pleased with that. And look, there's the side of my fabric. So the good news is that from this point right here, I've got a few stitches that reach out through this particular guideline. That is the beginning of the last page. This is a series of a number of pages, and there's one set of pages along that side. So will I get it done for the end of October? I no longer know, because sometimes I'm actually also trying to sleep at night. I know, what a concept. And I know you'd say, well, you can do it during the day. Well, that's when I'm doing everything else. So my BAPs are always a middle of the night project. And if it takes longer than I expected, so be it. One last shout out today, Faith X Stitch, Frederica. She comes to us from Italy. She's got one video and has stitched for 25 years, but like me, there was a 10-year break in there. For me, it was raising kids and trying to make sure there was no needles and pins laying around, and I had no place to store anything. And I gave it all away because I thought I'd never stitch again. Foolish me, right? She has a modest amount of whips and wants to get solid progress on each of them for her videos. So now if I just go into my announcements, Canada swaps, this is the weekend that we're aiming to fully finish and have them ready for the mail. I have about half of the photos already, and I've also had some emails saying I received mine. So mine has gone out, so I guess I did send another smile. My receiver was Luminia, and I'm hoping that it has arrived. It's been 10 days now. So thank you to everybody who's really been thinking about making those horizontal photos for me, and to those people who have just alerted me that they're going to be like a week behind because they were going to go away this weekend and it just wasn't going to work to FFO this weekend. It's okay. I sort of build into this that I'm not expecting to do the wrap-up video until somewhere around the middle of the month. So please don't feel guilty if it's not quite there, and don't be worried if you haven't received yours yet. My next general stitch is Tuesday, September the 9th at 1:30. I just had one this past week. And what I've decided is that I'm just going to count off every other week. And I'm going to put them on the weeks where during the school year, our LNS uses the room that we stitch in for teaching moments on the weekends, every other weekend. And those weekends, those weeks, they allow us to come in on Tuesdays. So I'm trying to put my online chatting and stitching on the in-between weeks so that if life aligns properly, I can go stitch with my friends because they are just a fabulous, fabulous group. The next Canada Chats is September 14th at 2 o'clock. My general stitch together is at 1:30. I have had some lovely, lovely people say they just want to permanently be on that list. There is still room for more people to say that. And then I alert my Flosstuber friends if there's openings for the day so that we can round it out with lots of fun chatter. And I'm loving getting to know everybody. My last general stitch, Catherine of Accounting My Stitches, joined us, and oh my, she's so lovely. Yay. It's just such a privilege to get to know everybody, and I am totally fine with making more than one group if we end up with more than the 12 to 15 people that I think is the perfect amount for online chats. Once we go past how many people I can see on my screen at once, I feel that it inhibits my chatting because I forget the people that aren't right there, and I never want to do that. So that's why I'm saying 12 to 15. It also reduces the chance that background noise will become too loud. The second Flossiversary that I celebrated in my last video, I announced the winners, and I'm just going to say thank you to Nancy for reaching out to me, but I am still waiting for the Crafty Cat Stitcher to reach out to me for the 123 Stitch gift certificate. If I don't hear from Crafty Cat Stitcher in about the next 10 days, I will redraw for the next video. Last on my list here is my August summary. Since it's the last day, I thought let's put this together. So I touched 27 whips this month. 8 were starts. 10 whips were finished, so therefore I've got 17 to carry forward. My stitches per day ranged from 316 on days that I was taking care of Mom to 1,776 on a day where nobody had any demands of me at all. My August stitch total still managed to be 40,634, even though I had some interesting days with my mom. My whip go is up to date, but 2 projects are incomplete and are part of those whips that are being carried forward. When we look at my entire year, I have touched 68 whips in 2025. 23 of these have been FFO'd. So I only sign off on a piece once it's FFO'd, not just have I finished it, is it FFO'd? So I need to get going on my fully finishing. So here's the thing. We've just had a month with 5 Sundays, which means that if I keep going every other week, I'm going to hit every Sunday for a while that Stitching with Sandy has her Sunday stitch-ins, and I do like to drop in at least for an hour or 2. And the editing I do uses that which I drop into these events with. So I'm actually going to come back in 1 week's time. But it's not going to be a normal video. I'm challenging myself I don't know whether it'll work or not. I'm challenging myself to do an FFO every day so that next week I can show you 7 FFOs. It will be a shorter video, but I thought by doing this, it helps me to get more on the FFO, and it helps me to keep stitching with Sandy. And now for a moment for music. Right now, the world is in turmoil. We have countries not delivering to other countries. We have designers who are stressed because they are worried that they are not going to sell as many designs purely because of this lack of ability to mail out and things. I myself love stitching off of PDFs out of Pattern Keeper, so I will be continuing to support as many designers as I possibly can by buying PDFs, whether they are on Etsy or have a private website. Why am I chatting about this now? Well, I decided that you needed a peaceful piece. That's kind of a weird way of putting it. One that there wasn't a climax and all the rest of that stuff to just gather angst. Is it expressive? Yes. So today, I've given you a somewhat, it's an interpreted version of Bach's Prelude No. 1 from the Prelude and Fugue, so the Weltenberg Clavier, Book 1, No. 1 in C major. Many of you may recognize this piece either just from generalized knowing of some music, and other people will know that Gounod wrote an Ave Maria to float above this particular accompaniment. So today, I encourage you to just find some inner peace as you listen to the Prelude in C major. And now it's time for me to say goodbye. This did not turn out to be a shorter video, but I got a lot accomplished, and I remembered all of my fun games. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, for watching, liking, subscribing, and for being good to yourself. Each of you is very special. You are the only you, and you are very important to people. I hope that as you watched today, you had needle, floss, and fabric in hand, so that as you made something beautiful, you made yourself happy. Take care of yourself. We'll see you in September.